up, homies? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get some Cosmonarchy balancing done. Can you believe it, guys? Can you believe we're going to be balancing live on stream? What kind of person am I that I would do that live? You may be asking yourself that. The answer is, I am you. I am me. Nerf Terran. Why does everybody want to nerf Terran? What the fuck? Oh, they're both Zerg players. Now it makes sense. We got George, Alexander, Skirmish Badger, Executor. What's going on, guys? All right, so we are gonna take a gander over here. Gonna take a gander. I already have this open. So we'll be able to go into. That, and then we will jump into the okay. I believe we are up to date, but I'll just go ahead and make sure. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do npm run dev, and then basically we're gonna. The sausage gets made, yeah. Chrono Go Riley. No thanks. We are going to have our own interactive set of balance. Oh yes. So I guess we'll start with Terran because people keep wanting to nerf Terran for whatever reason. Spoiler: I don't think I'll be nerfing Terran. I'm taking an approach to the balancing after Acropolis 4. In the context of sort of the same way that I think a lot of people approach the map pool in Starcraft 1 ASL. The map pool there from 910, who's the man who's doing the map pool, not the only one, he's not making the maps, but he's assembling them. 910 assembles a map pool based on like narratives and story and like what people are looking for and like, oh, Zerg is dominated and Terran's pretty good, but Protoss is really weak, so let's get some Protoss maps in there. He's kind of balancing the map pool around stuff like that, right? And because he's got a show and he's got to do that. I'm sort of not one-to-one, but I'm thinking of in those terms, and I'm also thinking of like what would make these races more deliver upon their thematics and what we really like about them. And so for the Escozi, that's really important because there's a lot of things about the Escozi that should be more thematically cogent and poignant. And so I want to make those more salient over time. But for sure, I've got a couple of small things that I'm considering for Terran that will probably end up improving things a little bit for them. So Newt always brings up the Wraith. And the interesting thing about the Wraith is that it used to be this unit that you would make on paper, like the average casual StarCraft 1 player, or low-skill StarCraft 1 player or whatever, they'd be like, yeah, Wraiths counter capital ships. And they can show up in TVT against like battlecruiser. Very rarely you'll see at high level you'll use them against carrier. But for the most part, you have to use Goliath against carrier. It's just not very cost efficient to do Wraith. They go down to like Psystorm. They go down to, if they go Corsair from the same structure they make the carrier from, you can get owned, like stuff like that. So if you have to like do it as a surprise move. There's no scaling power to it because Protoss can so easily do things that are pretty strong against it, right? Wraith is a pretty nifty set, has a pretty nifty set of like power budget to it, where you can get up to a certain stack of them and they one-shot workers. So versus Zerg, I think you just need 6 Wraiths to one-shot a Droleth, because it's 60 health on the Droleth, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little bit more, you have to do 8 versus in TBT in order to one-shot Masons. Proximity cloaking obviously gives you a whole different appreciation for them. They're pretty cheap, 75 minerals, 25 gas. So it's hard to justify making adjustments to their damage in the current format. because it probably won't be super impactful if it's not a lot. And if it's a lot, then suddenly you need like less rates to one-shot workers, which isn't super engaging gameplay. We've kind of, hey, what's up, BDB? We've kind of moved away from the idea that in StarCraft 1 that like workers are so fragile that if you just kill a bunch of them, like if you go after them in the early game, you can kill a bunch of them. Like you can still, but them being a little bit more durable, slower, so that they're a bit more vulnerable in that sense, and a bit more capable of handling the like melee units with the drilling and stuff. I think that all has resulted in slightly more durable worker counts in the early game, and then you really need to index into splash damage, which in like PvZ you do anyway because of the pool. But most situations, if you're going for a tactic that's really good at killing workers, you're probably not going to be really good at killing the rest of the army. And I think that's a healthy sort of standpoint. It's like you're indexing your power, you're spending your power, expressing it through that method. I think that's good. So the Wraith, if anything, as far as like a buff is concerned, I would probably consider making it so that they just have 10 more health and see how that goes. I really don't think they need a huge amount. There's an argument to be made that they just go down a little bit too quickly. But, 10 more health isn't going to be a lot. Like you think about a Maverick, that's like, okay, 2 more shots of the Maverick or whatever. Maybe if the math works out properly. Quaz, I guess it's like 3 more hits from the Quaz. Spraith, I think, takes 2 more hits then to kill them. So like it's really small, it's really incremental, but it's a little nudge, and then maybe we see them be used more often in general. The other thing that you could think about is buffing the star pad itself, making it so that it requires maybe a little bit less resources to implement. Maybe it's like 100 minerals, 100 gas instead of 125 minerals, 100 gas, so that you could maybe multi-pad more often. That's like the other thing you could think about. Obviously, that does have ramifications towards allowing Valkyrie, Anseal, and Trojan a little bit more, so it's more moving parts there. So we might keep that on our radar, but I don't think it's unfairly priced currently. That's my take there. Finally, Tier 1 died. What's up, Jim Becca? Nerf Cyprians? I don't know if Cyprians need to be nerfed. Buff Zerg, buff Blood Summon, nerf Toss, Viscosi, Terran. Oh, okay, yeah. Just the races he likes, of course. That makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and ARR units. That's what I was searching the folder name, but I was in a file search. And hit a Wraith. We'll say $120 for their health, I think. So let's go here. Okay. Firelock. Firelock is pretty good. It's gonna get reworked at some point to be a little bit more interesting. Like I think I'll give it a siege mode, in air quotes, like a deployment. I think that'll be fun. But for now, you don't need to worry about that. And by siege mode, I don't mean long range either necessarily. I just mean like you deploy, it does something different with its weapon. Maybe Palladium stuff could have build times closer to Protoss units. Don't they already have that? It's 30 and 28. Isn't that the same as like some Protoss units? Drakadin is 32. Hierophant is 32. Ecclesiast and Legionnaire and Zealot are all below that. So I guess you'll have to be a bit more specific about what you mean, Jack. But also, hi, how are you? All right. I am going to look at the Palladium cost. 300 minerals and 150 gas. It's pretty pricey. You compare that to the Scrapyard, only 200 minerals. The Vestry, 150. Covenant, 100 and 350. Interesting. I think we'll probably drop the gas cost of the Palladium by 50. But we will be making it a bit more snipeable, I think. It says 4 armor. That seems a little unreasonable, actually. Let's take it 3 armor. And does the Covenant have 4 armor? It does, yeah. I guess I was worried about people losing it, but whatever. It's not got a lot of health, so We'll say it's new durability here. I don't think it really needs to be heavily armored. We'll drop the health by 100, the armor by 1. Let's go ahead and make sure we're writing all of this stuff down. Yeah, you not. So, George, you're having a fundamental misunderstanding of like the power of how the races work. So, the composition you described the Terran having, Cyprian, Savant, Cleric, Shaman, requires an inordinate amount of Vespene. Also, if they're moving into you, Bactylisks probably do kill it. But if you're just trying to attack into them, that's where you're having a problem. You're having a problem because that composition is designed to heal, be well armored, and dish out damage and splash. And if you are attacking into it with something that the Savants handle well, like the deployed Savants will make Ultra Cores less powerful, that's a problem for your Ultra Cores. And then the rest of it's going to be a problem for your splash units, right? Your pool units or your spammable units. You're not supposed to attack into the ball. You're supposed to like pick it apart by intercepting reinforcements, doing counterattacks, drop attacks, whatever you can do with your power budget when you can't win a head-on fight. I thought that, like one of the things that I think will be true as time goes on is that the fact that the Ascozi demand you to do that kind of thing more often, because you really can't win in head-on fights a lot of the time unless you make some other wacky advantage go on, that is I hope that helps like really train that muscle in people's mind, or at least like they know it's a thing that you can do, because lower tier players do typically just think about it like, I'm gonna beat your army with my army, and that can be fun and that can be a cool thing, but it's not how the matchups are designed to go. And I think it's not an Imba thing that like Terran can assemble a composition that's really hard for you to crack, because that's Terran's thematic, is that they are a turtle shell that is difficult to crack. But instead of, like, they can only be in so many places. So you find where they aren't and you break it. Now that opens you up to potentially being bowled over, steamrolled if you can't slow them down at the same time. And so you got to get pretty good at like kind of threatening them. But the Terran has to do a lot of stuff too on that end. It's not like a disproportionate amount of micro or whatever. So, yeah, the Shaman is 200, remember, so every Shaman is that, and they don't stack, so it's like redundancy after the first round, so it's a lot of money. Cyprians and Savants are pretty pricey gas-wise, and mineral-wise, I guess, but mostly gas-wise. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Yeah, we're doing some balance adjustments here. I guess I'll give them probably 850 health instead. I'm dropping the armor and dropping the health. It's probably fine. 800 is a good amount. And then we'll just say resource costs 300, 150, 300, 100. So we're dropping the resource cost, making it a little bit more snipeable. Let's go ahead and grab our URL. That's what we're going to need for the... Yeah, I think I copied the link. That's fine. So we'll do Palladium. One is, of course, Wraith. What else do we have? Oh yeah, I'm gonna tackle the starport as well. And then the phalanx will receive some changes. I think this is all I have written down. Let me double check. Yeah, this is all I have written down that I wanted to do. I'll take a look at other stuff in case I want to, tackle something else. I might want to look at like the Talos or something, but we'll see. Maybe Palladium and Covenant could have cost flip. High mineral add-on unlocks high gas units and vice versa. I don't really see why you would do that, except to confuse the player. I think if you spend a lot of gas to unlock something, you're probably expecting it to cost a lot of gas to make them. But also, the Savant is pretty mineral intensive. It's 125 minerals and only 50 gas. So it's not even really correct to say that on balance, the units unlocked by the Covenant are exclusively gas intensive. I think Krankendow did some fun calculations one day. He sent me a whole essay. Here we go. I think, yeah, right here. Gas is worth 1.5 to 2 minerals due to the availability and mining speed. This is what he wrote out here. So this is like a fun little, he wrote a really, what did he say at the end? 30,000 character essay about Cosmonarchy stuff that I've been occasionally taking a look at. At some point I'll review more in full. But, you know, I know I did a pretty good job with the game if people are doing that. That's all I'm going to say. Give that man an A. Hell yeah, dude. A plus. Yeah, I'll grade it later. Maybe I'll make a stream where I just read that balance stuff and like react to it in real time. So that'll be a fun. He sent it to me without that intention, so I'll ask him first if he wants it to be shown on stream. But that could be a fun bit of content at least. All right, the Phalanx. I was looking at the Phalanx for some time, and I was like, what do we want to do with this guy? You know. One thing that I thought about was maybe making it so that Siege mode has 1 base armor and Tank mode just gets +3 armor. But, I don't know. I don't know if that's super... I like how pointy it is to have no armor in Siege mode. However, I do kind of think that more durability would be cool for the Phalanx. And sometimes they do get nuked really quickly in Siege mode, where it feels like maybe they shouldn't. So, honestly, I kind of think we should, and I wrote this down anyway already, so I already had this feeling. I think the Phalanx needs more HP. I think that's what it could use. Be even more pointy in the direction of having a lot of health. Because if you look at the Goliath, which also has 240 health, the Phalanx probably should have more health than the Goliath as well, right? So, just saying. So let's go to the Palladium real quick in our thing here so that we can update our stats. And then we're going to the Phalanx. And do I want to give them a small amount of health? Do I want to give them a lot amount of health? I think I'll give them 40 extra health. I think we'll see how that works. I was thinking about giving them 60, making it a nice clean 300. Might be a little bit much. Maybe what we'll do is we'll give them 35 health. They're 275. The rare divisible by 5 health amount. Because it's like, you know, it's 25 or whatever, you know, every 25. Plus 100 HP, but plus 100 minerals? Nah, I don't think so. No, Arbuz, I'm not increasing the Vulture HP. I actually don't know if I'll do anything to the Vulture. I think it has some pretty cool gameplay right now. It might need less vision range. I think that could be a fun little thing to do. It's a really silly thing to hit it with a stat stick about, like a nerf bat. Like, 7 vision range instead of 8. But having them be like a little bit less potent as scouts could be kind of neat. I don't know. The Maverick only has 7 range, right? Yeah. Fuck it, I'll do that. See if I don't. I'm not doing plus 33. That's awful. That would mess with my own autism way too much. Terran buffs? Will the resurgence happen? Hey, what's up, Fenris? Well, these are technically... They are buffs in some ways, but they're really minor, I think. Like, the Phalanx is already a unit that allegedly struggles... Skill issue. But making it more durable is just like a thematic thing. It is technically a buff, right? But, like... The Vulture having less sight range isn't a huge nerf, but it's thematically appropriate, I think, for a unit that's meant to be moving around the map really quickly, and that's how you scout with it. You don't scout with it with having a large vision range. The Palladium having a little bit less gas cost, but also being more snipeable, is like a mixed bag, but most of the time it'll be a buff until players get good at like sabotaging your main, dropping it, trying to kill that or whatever. Then you'll have to rebuild it more than once, right? You have to build it more than once. The Wraith having 10 extra HP is kind of a whatever. I don't really know if it's that big of a deal. We'll see. I'm told Wraiths struggle a lot. When I see them, they do go down pretty quickly to dedicated counters. And I think that's fine because air units shouldn't dominate ground units in general. But maybe this opens up a little bit more play for them to last like an extra minute or something to make games a little bit more interesting when they are. Make them an actual viable option. I kind of feel like they are a viable option, and this is probably a case where people just aren't playing around with them too much. For whatever reason, you know, even though Newt likes them a lot. But Newt will get his Wraith buff, so there's that at least. I always prefer to go tier 2 into Cataphracts rather than Mass Phalanx, but then again, I'm a dogship player. Well, Cataphracts are a little bit lower APM, that's for sure, because you don't have to like deploy them and stuff, and they're a little bit more of a brick wall. So that's fair. Yeah, Vulture doesn't have optics. You have to train it. You have to upgrade the ghosts, yeah. Silver Tongue get Plot Twist Cloak? Probably not. But I'll look at it again and see if I still want it for the Silver Tongue. It's so long ago that was a concept. Most turns struggle because they never heal their units. Vestry. Yeah. Well, Vestry does give you, like, infinite money value if you think about how many units don't die. But then, obviously, if you get overwhelmed, then you've lost your healer, too. So there's a risk there. It's not straight up. The faction war units also need a revision. Hotshots are like cheaper Cyclops that don't do friendly damage. And for the life of myself, I can't figure out how Cannibals are a reasonable replacement for Cyprians. Cannibals are probably a unit that needs a little bit of a fix. They actually, at one point, they were doing half the intended damage, and Hamster was like, "How do I use this unit?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry, buddy, it's bugged." That was really funny. But yeah, I think probably they need a little bit of a different look to their ability or something like that. Factional units will get a pass in the month of August, because I will be announcing today the map crap. That's what I will say. Maybe at the end of the stream I'll do that. Extra HP doesn't push him over any edge, at least. Oh, Wraiths are already fine, says Dog. Yeah, I don't think the extra HP is going to give them that much of a difference in, like, breakpoint of fights. It's like 2 extra Mav hits or 3 extra Quaz hits or whatever. It's not going to be that significant, but I think it might more be a placebo thing, where it's like, yeah, Wraiths got buffed, I'll use them, and then people will see what's up, you know? Successfully put myself in a grimoire. I'm ready for anything. Hell yeah, Kenny. Grimoire is such a cool structure. I can't wait to put that shit in the game. Whichever map uses the most organ tiles, left my vote. Oh, okay. Well, I'll remember that. My next map will be in the space platform tiles. Cohorts are really good units, honestly. I don't know. I mean, they seem like they have a lot of impact. I should probably phrase it like that, because I don't know if they're actually good, but they're pretty cool. All right, let's go to a patch note here so I can copy the double arrow thing. Oh, there you go. I don't know what the Unicode is for that. We're almost done with the stuff that I had planned for Terrans. The Wraith and the Vulture are not something I actually had planned, but that's okay. It's not really that big of a deal. Let me just make sure I'm also doing these changes here. So that's the Palladium. I'm going to go to Phalanx. 275. 275. And then Palladium we did. Vulture 7. Oh. Yeah, I guess we'll do it for the other factional variants as well. Raynor can keep a... Raynor can have a sight of 8. That's fine. Raynor doesn't need to have them be nerfed. Nerfing Sovereign Saga right now, live on stream. Okay. What was that also? The Broadside was supposed to have more HP because the other guy got it? Probably. Sure. We'll put the factional stuff at the way end. Upstart. Raise the HP by the same amount. Probably won't make that much of a difference, to be honest. All right. So the starport here is going to be something that I also want to take a look at. 225 gas. I think we'll drop it to 150 Vespene. That makes sense. The mantle is 150 Vespene. Absence is 300 minerals. Okay, we're also going to swap the mantle costs around a little bit. What was the mantle before? 200, 150? Yeah, so now it's 250, 125. And we'll drop its HP a little bit as well, but we can up its armor. That's probably acceptable. Okay. We gotta remember what all we just did. HP 1,900, armor 3,4, resource costs 200, 150, 250, 125. That's not. This is like marginal stuff. It's not a huge change. Not under particular illusions. This is more about like having a concrete thematic and a like acceptance of everything. So still the most gas-intensive Tier 2 structure is going to production structure is going to be the starport, despite these changes. But we can make it the. Do I want 175 or 200 minerals? Probably 200 minerals. So this is a net price cut, while also being a pretty nifty buff to the gas cost of the starport. And that's all I'm going to do. I think from there, people will experiment. I'm making it a bit more accessible, basically. So I think that's fine. Captaincy has 1250 HP. Why is the captaincy... I guess it's the biggest structure, and that's the logic behind why it's the most durable. That's probably fine, then. Okay. George said... He said Ahmed is hidden somewhere. Is that a secret interaction? Tell us the secret interaction in Sovereign Saga. Yeah, if there is. You'll have to give me a more... Oh, shit. There's a lot of chat messages that I missed. How bad would it be to implement a completely new tile set? X405 was doing that, but he's AWOL. Like, he shows up for like a week every year. So I don't know how much progress he's had. It was pretty involved, though. And obviously the biggest issue is getting the graphics done, right? So... okay, 6 transport space circuit. When? That's never happening. No Triton buff? I'll look at it in a second. I also wanted to look at the Talus. One counter I noticed Terran's kind of struggling with is mostly how to fight boars. And boars? You don't have any dedicated area to air in Tier 2. Sometimes pop wants to decloak. Oh, well, the answer is the Endboar won't attack air. So that's like the main thing. The Endboar is going to be an anti-ground specialist. That'll make Torters a little bit more potentially useful. Also, you already have an anti-air unit. Hello? So you don't need the Endboars to also attack here. Your Triton stun big splash. I'll look at the Triton again. What's up, Adam? Welcome. If Terran needed power to be it'd all be production and tempo related. Once they bridge that problem, they usually look strong. Yeah, most of this stuff is. I think the main thing about the Terran changes here is mostly it's thematic stuff, right? So we're talking about like making it so that the what did I say for the starport? 200, 150? Yeah. Let's go to mantle. 250, 125, we already did that, but we also dropped this and increased that. We are talking about like thematic stuff right now, and then we can tune the numbers like back if it needs to be, or forward if it needs to be. But like, we want to be having a more coherent setup. I don't think Terrans were incoherent very much. Like, Ascosi was harder to be coherent for sure. I don't think Terrans had that problem in the same way. They were already in a pretty good spot. They just have some units that struggle a little bit more than others. Madrigals are maybe outshone a little bit by some of the other options for anti-air. Now that the Valkyrie works better, the Madrigal might not be as useful. But it still shows up in cases where you have gone mech, and your opponent is going like Calculus or something, you know what I mean? Like some unit where they're going to stack up a lot and you need some splash. And they're fast moving, so I think they still have a niche. I don't feel compelled to adjust the Madrigal. I don't really feel compelled to adjust a lot of these other units from balance standpoint either. Again, I'm mostly thinking about it from thematics. The Wraith is maybe a little bit more of like, let's explore, let's experiment. That one might not survive, for example, as a change. The Talos is... I think the Talos has play, but it's gated by the Quarry. And Quarry takes 3 workers in order to build if you're building it on your ministry. So you almost always want a treasury, which does inflate the mineral cost of the Quarry, as well as the time cost of it. How much does the lodestone take? Only 20 seconds? I could see an argument to reduce the time cost of the Quarry a little bit. Do I see an argument to reduce the mineral cost of it? It's pretty snipeable. Like, only 500 health doesn't even feel correct, but I guess I'll just go ahead and confirm that. Yeah, it is. I think I'll knock off 10 seconds to the time cost and just see where we go. And that'll be my Talos buff. Also an Ogun buff. I think the Ogun will probably get a direct buff at some point, but I don't have any thoughts on that right now. We'll see if this like really does a lot. I mean, you have to remember that a lot of people are going to try something new because there's been an adjustment. And things that were always true, but maybe are slightly more true now, are going to be like, oh my god, look at how good this unit is. It's like, yeah, it was always pretty good. You just didn't build it ever. And people never developed strategies against it, so it looks even better, you know. I found the guy. Is that the secret, or can you drop him somewhere and a secret monologue starts? I will not tell you specific. Ymir OP, yeah. Newest infestation note with the Imicrenia Cagrilisk that infested kills instead of having plague. Infesting Sicrilisk. I'll have to siege the magical. That's pretty good. Plague that infests instead. Oh, I missed Arnier, or Arnierd, however you say your name, 4417. Hello, welcome. And we have more infestation options for Zerg. Definitely not at, it doesn't feel right to have them at tier 1 for the main faction. But I'll get to Zerg. So, alright, the other unit that people were talking about was the Triton. 7 weapon range, not really super consistent. Oh, it has Kelvin munitions. So it is like a cool single target slow unit. I forgot about that particular part. Yeah, it's like the easiest way to apply Kelvin munitions. Like the Claymore is better, but it's at tier 3, so. Fires a missile that lobotomizes its target for 4 seconds. Targets when 2 rangers slowed. If it was an AoE lobotomize, would that actually be OP? I feel like that does probably shift the balance. The Goska passive makes the slow longer. Oh, the fossilizer rounds, refreshing debuffs. AoE stun would be insane. Heracles also has couple munitions. Yeah, Heracles does, but it's this is long range. Heracles is very short range. If it's AoE, rip Heracles. I don't think so. I mean, people are already going like mantle over captaincy in certain cases, and then people go captaincy more often because it's cheaper. So I'm not sure if that's true. Goscon Triton would make it infinite. Yeah. Is making Blissful Embrace passive than active targeting? Blissful Embrace passively... If you're asking, like, do we have a passive implementation of that? Yeah, the Matrolith mutation, the Akistra Core, which you can get at tier 2. As the, it basically blissfully embraces on hit when it attacks something and then it dies. Making blissfully embrace passive than active OP. Oh, would it be OP? Do you mean like having the Matrolith just attack like the Akistra Core and applying it that way? I guess like if the Matrolith had a really obnoxious animation, if it had a long animation that kind of like froze it in place for a little bit, so it was very vulnerable. But I feel like the fact that if we're balancing around Clunk, it would probably be frustrating for the Zerg player because then they'd be like, no, my Matrolith is in the middle of its attack sequence. I can't micro it away to safety. It's just automatically acquiring targets. And then I guess the counter argument to that would be like issue a follow order so that they don't attack in that way. But then, you know, the unit that they're following dies and they attack. Kind of a messed up situation, I think, on the UX. I'll have to meditate on that a little bit, I think. Trying to shoot as a single target when game state is so far along, you need to click a lot of buttons otherwise. No, there's no... I don't think there's a... I know Jack always ends up like suggesting a bunch of stuff that's obviously OP and stuff, so I just have to like dismiss those and not even reply to them, I guess. If you wanted power at spell range. I guess the main issue with the spell range part is... I think the spell range issue is that it feels like weird for the Terrans to be initiating an engagement like that. And so I kind of wanted the Triton to be better at like reacting by locking down a particular target. I'll probably meditate on this a little bit, but I think the Triton pitch would be to convert this ability into a pick a target, and while the Triton stays alive and in the area, that target is locked down, and they just can't do anything. So you're just like, for every Triton, you stun an enemy unit. So that would be very good versus some TVT comps, definitely TVP, where they start pulling out like Unars or whatever, architects. You just like nab a few of those things, and it's like a single target disruption in that way, where they can't, you're just like nuking them in that way. I think that would probably be, because that's like reacting to you coming in to attack me. Triton, great counter to the Ultra Core then, right? Because you're just saying, no, you can't attack. You're probably also stunning it, so you can't move either, is like my thought right now. But we'll have to see. That's probably what we would want to do. And that way it's a little bit less button pushing, because you don't have to like fire the warhead, wait like 25 milliseconds or whatever, however long it takes you to regen your energy to get enough for a second warhead and then fire it again. And it's not like a time thing. The only problem there is that you are basically saying, no, you can't actually like move. So maybe we should just disable the weapon systems. Kind of like the, what is it? It's not disruption matrix, but it's whatever the Raven has that like in StarCraft 2 that like removes ability usage and weapon usage. It disables those. Instead of it being a timed thing, it's just like, no, each Triton can do that to one unit. So you're rewarded for making a lot of Tritons if you can also click the buttons on time, but you know you're stopping them from being able to cast abilities, and that would potentially do damage and stuff, and then also you're rewarded. You're knocking out their weapon systems and stuff. Interference matrix. That's what it is. Yeah, if the target dies, then you need a new target. But like, there's no. I don't think there would be an energy cost associated with this. Maybe there would be. So maybe they would still put it on cooldown. But anyway, I think that's a fine like value proposition for the unit to have. I don't think you would then need to worry as much about like. Yeah, that's the Excitralisk. I don't know what was the context of that. Matrilisk is really fun in the campaign. Hell yeah. Matrilisk is fun in 1v1 too. Fuck yeah. I don't know why you want the Goska passive. All the Goska passive does is take existing debuffs and refresh the duration on them. So if the Triton doesn't do any debuffs, then it's not doing anything. And if it does do debuffs, then it's just... It's doing the same thing that it currently does. Because the Kelvin munitions slow is refreshed when it attacks. I don't know what you're accomplishing there. Hey, what's up, Sicky? What do I think about the Savant ability? I think that right now they probably need a longer deployment and undeployment animation before they can start attacking again. That would be my main thing that I think would be appropriate for how flexible the unit is. And that way you get a little bit of like, I can jump on this unit a little bit easier when it's form switching or something like that. What's up, Shambly? The mythical tier 3 Zerg. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably what I would do for the Triton, but that's more involved than just changing a couple of stats around right now. So, and that's kind of what we're focused on. There's a couple of things that we might do programming work on later, but I think this is just an initial pass of small adjustments here. It's really not that big of a deal. I don't think you get you don't really do phalanx in TVZ, do you? Sometimes maybe, but Bactalisks usually own it anyway. I don't think it's going to change because of 35 extra life. The Hypnagogue is one of those, like, it would be really cool if we had this unit in the game units, just like the Triton. And the Magnetar, I guess, for that matter. I guess the Magnetar has Yamato, so it's a little bit more powerful. Alright, let's do some Protoss. I do have some stuff for the Protoss planned here. So before Acropolis 4's finals, I actually, like, this is halfway through the tournament, I wrote down that I wanted to take the Idol, and I wanted to increase its durability and its splash radius. And now I don't think it needs a durability increase because people have come up with pretty cool concepts for it, like compositions for it. I think its splash radius might still be a little bit small. It's not even one range on the maximum damage. So we're probably going to buff it in that way, where we're increasing its splash radius a little bit. But that's it. I honestly don't think it needs any other adjustments. So if we look at the Idol, which we'll eventually get to, and then we say 12, 18, 24 is the current one. So, Idol. So that would be 16, 24, 32, I think. And by 8, increasing by 8. It's not a huge increase, but it's a small buff. They're pretty good units at splashing, particularly versus ground. I mean, particularly versus air units, but now they have a little bit more range to work with. I think that's really all that we need. By the way, you guys will be surprised. I don't have like Zerg nerfs planned. I don't have any fucking. I'm gonna reduce this unit's power. There's nothing coming around the pipe that I can immediately think of that I'm like. Like, my only thing for Zerg is related to the Sovroleths, so there's no relation to the tournament. I didn't really look at the way that the tournament played out and think, like, something was really messed up with them. Arbus says Idol by itself is unremarkable, but Protoss compensates it with... Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think the splash radius increase will help it versus ground units, even outside of the PvZ matchup. Make it a little bit better versus, like, Vulture and stuff. Hey, what's up, Alexander? Terra needs a Rax unit that's 25 mineral and shades 12 range. Yeah, good idea, Newt. I guess I have to... I forgot... Newt's doing the Jack Alexky thing, where he's like... Jack's like, maybe Matroleth infests everything and an aura? You can't complain about balance, Newt. I gave Wraiths a buff. Nobody tell him what the buff was. It's just Wraiths are buffed. Build them. I just showed up. Idle have plus 30% 30 plus DPS in fights with targets. Yeah. Well, especially if they're air units, dude. Charlatan combo with them is really good. Oh, that was another thing I was maybe looking at, the Charlatan. The splash damage for the Charlatan is a little weird. I think technically we need to increase the splash damage, but only for the inner radius. It's not... This basically doesn't... I might as well not put this in the patch notes, but... because basically we're saying inner goes from 12 to 16. It's the same thing otherwise. It's really nothing. It's absolutely nothing. But yes, technically charlatans are getting... I would say that's like a bug fix, but you can call it a buff if you really want to. It's really funny. It's just using the wrong scaling factor, basically, for the inner. Okay. 10 HP buff, yeah, dude. Sav just needs better, more reliable enemy corpse egging to lose the Zeph farm. Random other bit I noticed, the Exemplar is classified as an anti-armor frigate in game. Doesn't actually have pen. I think you're in range over Gladius. Oh, that's mostly because it's like overkilling, but it probably shouldn't be considered anti-armor. It's an assault corvette in the website. So we'll call that a bug fix to the string for the train it. Where is that? Stack EX2 exemplar. Yeah, this is a Assault Corvette. Zerg looks like it's been taking a beating for the last games, except for... Oh, well, you may have missed the 1v1 tournament that we just ran that we had a $1,000 prize pool for, where Zerg, in fact, did not take a beating. You may have missed that. Just so you know. Hey, what's up, Kian? Oh yeah, charlatans have splash. That's what they're so good. They're really, really good at dealing with air units because of that. Potente should get 9,001 armor. Minus 8,996. Okay. George working on outdated info. Zerg versus Terran in a good spot? I think so. Zerg wouldn't welcome you even if you paid. Annihilated. Wouldn't be crazy if Potentates ignore armor. It wouldn't be crazy, but that's a kind of a blood summon thing now, so. I feel like Potentates deal 30 damage and have 5 armor pen, like they already kind of do ignore armor, because high damage ignores armor by definition. It's less heavily affected by armor. And then having 5 armor pen besides means the only thing reducing it is like the Star Sovereign or whatever, so I don't know. Now, Shambler's preparing for a show match between him and Siki. Siki's going to be playing Protoss, and Shambler's going to be playing Zerg. But none of the balance adjustments that I do today are going to be relevant to that, because they're going to play on the Acropolis 4 patch, as far as I know. So it'll be Siki Protoss versus Shambler Zerg, 7-game set. Better infestation delivery from Atroleth, besides channeling for 4 seconds. You don't have to channel for any amount of time, really. As long as you get 1 frame of the ability cast working, and then the unit dies, you technically infest the target. So yeah, Potente's already do ignore armor. What else do I have written down here? Oh yeah, I do think that this is a pure balance thing and not really too significant to anything else. Let's compare this to the Gateway. 400. I'm going to increase the lattice durability because I do think 6 pooling into destroying a lattice is maybe a little bit too easy right now. Even when Protosses were playing conservatively to try to defend that, a lot of the times they would end up losing the lattice and having to go at it again. And so this might be a little bit extra, but it's only 150 net durability, so it's probably not that big of a deal. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do for there. That is entirely balanced. It's still thematically consistent with the idea that the lattice is more vulnerable than the average structure, but like, we compare this to the Crucible. Yeah, the Crucible had comparable stats to the lattice. That's kind of wild. So, that's pretty whack. I have to put Shambler in a timeout because he's being vile again. Okay. I was sure, I'm not really super sure about the Cantavis. I liked the idea of it being a little bit more accessible, but I feel like the way that we have it right now, probably the only thing would be maybe the time cost. The resource cost seems appropriate for the amount of impact you can get. Oh, I do want to make Hallucination no longer have collision, though, so I guess we'll be doing that. It doesn't actually reference the collision of it, so that's fine. I don't have to change anything about that. We'll knock off 3 seconds to the build time. How about that? No big deal there. And then oh no, this is Cantavis. Build time 33 to 30. Oh yeah, well the Grand Library is meant to be large though. I like it. And then you just make small pylons, and you're good. Protoss players are getting some love, and although they are Protoss players, yeah, I suppose they even they need attention now and then. Would it be OP if infested units explode on death? It would be a cool callback to how that works, I think. Oh shit, it's Slyzor! Slyzor was doing some gaming against Thunderslash. That's pretty cool. Would be OP. It would be a fun callback. I don't know if it would work out, because the thing is, you would have to decide, like, does the unit always deal flat damage when it explodes? Does the unit deal damage commensurate to its like max health or something when it explodes? It could get a little complicated depending on how you implement it, but I think it's fine. All right. Can you re-steal what? If infested units had their corpses consumed by the explosion in order to justify the damage, that would be a way to make it anti-corpse. But I don't think... That doesn't have to be how it does, right? Like, you could do it either way. It would kind of be logical, right? All right. Let's go into our Cantavis. And then... Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Cantavis. 30. Did I already make the lattice changes in here? I did not. 500, 300. Still only has 2 armor, so that's pretty good. Charlatan and the... Oh yeah, the other thing was just weapon stuff. Let's see. Anything else I wanted to adjust here? I don't think over there. The positron apparently deals 0 damage. What the heck? Positron missile factor 1. Yeah. Protoss are the coolest of the high-tier units of the game. I'll admit it. Yeah, we don't want shields on the Steward, because if that happens, then they're all, like, regenerating the shields. I guess we can make it so they don't regenerate the shields, but... Well, basically, Jack, the fusion of the units in order to turn into martyrs is done just within the structure, as opposed to, like, out on the battlefield. So, whatever original lore may have existed between the two, I don't really know of a lore connection there, besides the fact that they're made by the same process, sort of, but not really. Well, the thing about the Dark Archon compared to the Mind Tyrant, or compared to the regular Archon, is that it could always be like multiple Dark Templar. You could have more than 2. You could have like 7 or 9 or whatever old Rosage was. But sometimes it can be 1 in Cosmonarchy. It really depends on how unshackled the unit is. Okay. We were in the midst of... I have to open up Visual Studio and declare a weapon ID. No longer does collision. Where is it? Weapon ID. We have... hallucination. Apparently it's this. That's ability targeting. Yeah. Oh, no. Like an anti-Chthon is like 50 apostles or whatever. Not quite the same method of fusion, but that's all right, man. Don't ask questions. Okay. The hallucination projectile can no longer be intercepted by hostiles, so that's a pretty big buff to hallucination. Let's see. So wait a second. What do we have here? If the unit doesn't have the timer. So if the timer is set to 0, do this maelstrom thing, overlay thing. Oh, I guess. And this is like gameplay stuff. So basically, like, it wouldn't recreate the overlay or whatever. And then we just go to... Yeah, I have a couple of ideas for Plague. I think making it block healing is probably a good idea. Oh, Alexander said the same thing. I was thinking that for some time. I don't like generative AI. It's not very good at anything that it does, and it's not very ethical because of the training data and also the power consumption. And I don't believe programming AIs do any better at either of those things. Also, we already have problems with like crashes and desyncs and stuff. I can't be doing that. That's for sure. Sometimes AI can have like a good web search or whatever resource, but I'm pretty sure even that is burning ridiculous amounts of resources to do. Okay, so we're gonna go to our methods for healing. Steel. Oh, I guess Plague Timer is just Plague Timer. That's for heal HP, heal shields. There's probably a few things that don't use this. So like Lifesteal uses heal HP and heal shields. What else is an example? Yeah, I think AI web searching is kind of good because of the fact that it uses all of that power. And that's because that's how it's required in order to do a web search these days. And so it's really not a solution to the problem. It just happens to be whatever it is. Yeah, Shopkeeper Dog also gave some more technical reasons. What if Kagrants morphs on top of Malkots have faster build times? Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's an endgame unit. I don't really have a problem with that. Yeah, when we're talking about AI in the context of like a tool, we're not talking about game AI, or as we can sometimes call it, CPU, like the computer player, right? I assume options is constructing. Options is disclosing. Should be there. Do my cost issue. Try that and see if that code actually works. Meanwhile, I can also share the Mind Tyrant update, which is that Maelstrom is now up to 2/3 of a movement speed slow. And then additionally, Malefactor Tyrannize. Where is this? So we're no longer going to drain energy for the Tyrannize. Every time a Malefactor starts to Tyrannize something, it won't drain the energy anymore. But you do still need to have more than 10 energy in order to actually proc the Tyrannization. So if you're out of energy, you will still no longer Tyrannize, basically. No longer drain energy. Mind Tyrant still must still have energy. Tyrannize. There's probably an easier way to explain that, but that's what I got right now. I'm just going to go a little bit fast here. So we're making it so that the Mind Tyrant has a bit more competition with Malefactor and with the overshield that your unit has when declared as the Malefactor. But you don't drain all of your energy just passively tyrannizing a bunch of chaff or whatever. Not sure that that'll be the final cut, but I'm experimenting with that. I can buy George for free. Just curious, do I have plans of making Stepping on Kager provide buffs or debuffs? Probably not for the main faction. You already have localized stuff like the Khaz'trith. That's probably going to be the extent of that. Judging by all of your messages in the chat, you are a Zerg enjoyer. So when we switch over to Zerg pretty soon, I think we'll be in a good spot for you. The last change I wanted to make for Protoss is related to the Stargate. I also need to double check that I've actually gotten everything written down here correctly. So like in the game strings, the Maelstrom, 66%, and then, oh yeah, it's Maledict. Okay. So that's that. And then, what else did we have here? Maelstrom is 66%. And then, was there something else that I did? I did the Malkothracord change, but I have to test it to make sure it actually works. Hallucination wasn't written anywhere, so you don't have to worry about that. Build time already updated. I believe it was done so in here as well. Yeah. Alright, so the Stargate is 200 minerals and 200 gas. And it's gone back and forth, if you guys don't know. The Stargate has been a frequent unit. A frequent structure that has been adjusted quite a bit. I think we're going to drop the Vespene cost. And that'll be that. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to make it a little bit more accessible. I don't really think there's much else there. The units all have some uses. Let's see. We'll do that. A hat that heals ultra cores? Oh, that was the other thing that I did, is I did the plague change, didn't I? We might reduce it instead of blocking it, cut it in half or something. I don't know, but for now we'll just try a straight up block. That's the most like thematically salient thing, right? Introducing temporary heal cap to Ultra Core be out of the question consideration. Well, the heal... I don't think the heal cap is very intuitive, but I also think that Protoss just need to get a little bit better at either finding a comp that can burst down Ultras. Unars obviously come to mind for that. Or going for... they only have 2 options early game to field Signify, Hierophant, which is obviously very micro-intensive, and the Epigraph, which is out of the order, you know, like out of the build order for a lot of people. Eventually you get Patriarch, and then Ultra Cores just die. But, yeah. Zerx complained so much about Shaman mitigating Plague that now Plague erases Shaman from the game. Yeah, but you have to get to tier 2 for Plague, so I think it's acceptable. And again, if it ends up being too unfun to just have it be completely nuked, because I think you can get pretty widespread with it. Also, you have to remember, if you're going Plague, you're cutting your own Ultra Cores out of healing, Tetzora Cores as well. So that's something that's worth pointing out, Dog, is that you can't really have any lifesteal as Zerg if you're itemizing with Plague. You're going to hurt yourself a lot, too. All right, let's switch over to Zerg, though. I think we've done our due diligence for the Protoss. You'll note, again, not a lot of nerfs, right? Did we get any nerfs here? You can maybe argue that some stuff related to the Mind Tyrant is a bit weird, but yeah, that's all straight buffs, even if they're minor. Terran got, like, some, like, the Vulture Vision range and the Palladium Snipe ability. Mantle got some adjustments. I'm a little bit worried that the Mantle might be a little bit too easy to grab into now, so we're going to keep watch on that. But it should be pretty fine, I think. Yeah, everything's just getting a little bit more thematically buffed. So first up, a buff to the Zerg, because Zerg needs buffs. Zerg is kind of weak right now, actually. I'm just rage baiting. Oh, actually, it won't be that. It will be... the armor pen of the Bone of Reflection, used by the Tetzora Core and the Zarkavra Core, is going to go from 0 to 1. It went from 3 to 0, and I think that was a little bit too intense, particularly for Teth. So we're going to go ahead and adjust that. I am going to adjust the Zarkavra Core a bit. It is pretty potent. So we'll probably be adjusting it in a way that is seen as a net nerf, but we'll see about that. I do want to try the Nathra Core, not giving it the Adrenal Frenzy increased movement speed buff anymore. I want to try seeing how that changes things, but that might not stick, so... ironic, because the Nathra Core does stick. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remove that. That means that I have to go into the button set for the Nathra Core, and we have to find Adrenal Frenzy. Do that so that the buttons are correct. Can't just be lying to people. That would not be a fun nerf, in my opinion. Alright, what else do we have? Bone of Reflection was updated. You mean the Creates or whatever? These are gonna nerf. Yeah. Oh yeah, Aatrox. Phalanx did get buffed. I think Shopkeeper Dog's contention is that the Phalanx buff is actually a Phalanx nerf because more people will make Phalanxes. The Wraith buff is a Wraith nerf because more than people will make Wraith. Okay. Right, so we're going to do... This is going to take a little bit of programming, I think, because of the, or like dev, because the Rilolisk, I don't believe, has a spawn from egg animation or anything right now. I probably won't make them a sire. Excuse me. It probably wouldn't make that much of a difference, I guess. Maybe I will. All right. I guess I have to do that in here. Sires. The Iblileth. Huh. Will be coming to you soon. Iblileth. Also, technically, this applies to the Savra core as well. So I guess I should do that. Which kind of is cool. If you then have air units that die and you have Savra cores, you can use the Savra core to give yourself Rillolisks. That's pretty nifty, actually. Also, it means that Savra cores are sires, too, so... It's pretty good for the Gazirith tendril, honestly. That feels pretty thematic, actually. Okay. I think that should work. We'll have to see. Rilolisk from Larva is cool, I think. Rilolisk from Oxel would be dope, but not right this second. It probably will happen, it's just a matter of time. Let's go to back here. All right, gotta go into Savraleth. Morale debuff. Yeah. It's that's an appropriate statement to make from Green Eggs, but he won't be able to hear me say that to him. Unfortunate. Not really entirely sure why, but for some time now, during, I guess it might be allergies or something, but for some time now, like standing around and casting or doing a lot of streaming or whatever, doing a lot of talking makes it so that one nostril has to be blown frequently. So I don't know why that is. That's just a random thing. Hey, thanks for translating, Jack. You can also tell him and the world that the best way to support Cosmonarchy is to obviously share the word, spread the word across the world, and to donate. Streamlabs.com/Pronago or coffee.com/Cosmonarchy. Streamlabs.com/Pronago gives you the ability to donate towards epic initiatives like our competitive events, where otherwise I have to pay the money, so you're still helping me out. And coffee.com/Cosmonarchy is a good way to support general project development. The money goes between myself and Veek and is a good way to get really cool things done. Also, you could bounty specific tasks, in which case it's usually whoever did the task and not split between players or developers, as it were. But that's that. That's all I have to say. Have fun trying to write all that down, Jack. Okay. We have done the Sovrleth, Sovrcore. The Sovrleth one is the only one that I actually had written down, but the Nathracor I think is fine to try. We've done the Plague Change already, did the Bone of Reflection. Let's see. I think the Plague Change is a pretty cool value proposition to go into Tier 2 for. Got Zorocore buff, Zarkavacor buff from the Bone of Reflection. So let's figure out our Zarkavacor change, and I think that might be the last thing of balance adjustments that we actually end up doing here. Yeah, the Zarkavacor being able to splash air and ground is obviously a pretty cool thematic aspect. Why did Nats get nerfed? Are they too strong? Nathracors are... What's up, Grass? Nathracors are... it's just... I don't actually know if it's going to make any difference, honestly, in the ability for them to stick to units. But it's not very interactive to have a unit that basically, like, can do a lot of damage already, right? But you can't escape from by trying to, like... It's not like Scourge in StarCraft 1 where you can try to, like, avoid them. Nathracors are the closest analog to a Scourge that we have in the game for, like, early game anti-air. And yet they control way differently. Like, as soon as they start attacking you, you can't escape from them. So the change is just to make it so that maybe there's room for you to be able to escape by outmaneuvering them. Oh, welcome back. Biddy bee. Jack's gone quiet, so I know for sure he's just in the middle of typing that whole paragraph or whatever. So... if we look at the Gorg, 250 health, 2 armor, 7 range, 200 vision range. The Zark can probably... it doesn't need vision range. It's not really a huge ordeal there. Maybe we just drop the... Zark attack speed a little bit. Have it be the same as the Gorg. And we try that. Because I think that's fine. I mean, it attacks in air. You know, like, it's still pretty damn good. It also has armor pen. It, I think it seems to have increased splash range, although I don't know if that's legit or not. So I think that's the main thing I'll do here. Set down blades. Cool down 0.42, 6. And the Zark vision range, 8. I don't think it really needs to be. Honestly, it could be unchanged. need to be changed at all, honestly, from the Gorg. That's kind of a myth in design. Like, an upgrade needs to be better in all ways kind of myth. We're giving it slight DPS increase with the armor pen on Bone of Reflection anyway. At least versus some compositions, so we'll see how that actually changes. Due to Nathricor pathing works, you wouldn't really be able to escape them unless you move faster. Probably Arbiz, that's why I say it's probably not going to make a huge difference. But at the very least, if you can outrun them normally, they can't artificially keep up with you because of Adrenal Frenzy anymore. Oh, you already did it, but it shortened. Okay, cool. What's wrong with Zark? By Madcap. Zark is really, really good in some matchups to the point where it feels like it might be the apex, but that's, you know, obviously considering tier 1 1v1. I don't think versus Terran it's a particularly good unit, though. Yeah, but you couldn't escape with Vultures. You couldn't escape with, like, speed-boosted Escosi units or Protoss units. So, yeah, you know. That's still a valid use case. Again, it's not meant to be a huge change. So I should stipulate that. I should mention that again. It's not meant to be like, this is going to change how the Nathricor is used, but it should make it so that if you know, hook them across. I'm not sure about the Legionnaire. It might be able to outrun it. Legionnaire's pretty fast. Lyralisk, maybe? Alright, I don't really know about the Akistra Core. I feel like it's kind of outside the realm for a lot of people. Stuff in Tier 2 can definitely get cooler and more nifty and more epicer, but... I don't think metastasis is decent. Okay. I think we've correctly updated everything in all of the files. That's sometimes a difficult thing to do, but I'm pretty sure we've done that. The only thing that we have to test the healing, we have to test the corpse cocoon change, and we have to test the Malkothricor update as well. Does the Malkothricor not exist in this or something? I'm kind of confused. Did it just not get carried over? The fuck? It's right here. Tier 3, Order 1, Category 0, Order 1, Suborder 1. Oh, it's here. It's Othself. These are mixed together because of the... Yeah, this needs to be recalibrated. Okay. So it would be the hive tissues. I'm just going to leave that like kind of vague note for now. Hive tissues. Okay, I'm going to add stuff later. Okay. Electric Solarian with stewards that have Ida Vitality. I don't really know how you... I guess like they would have to split the unit, and it would have to, instead of being a normal, there'd have to be like a version of it that isn't configured to be an interceptor type unit. So, could be. I wouldn't mind that, actually. That would be pretty neat. But that sounds like a mess of code. That's a unit territory that's not just like, I'm going to make that in an evening. That's like bounty territory. Like, you're going to have to pay me some money for that one. That's hard. All right, let's go to... yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. I don't think there's a theoretical limit, per se. Pardon my table farting. I don't think there's particularly a theoretical limit on how the whole thing goes, so... I guess the answer is maybe. I got about another hour before I have to do a different kind of stream. Wink, Kian, wink. Some D&D, some tabletop donor stuff. We're going to take a look at the Malkothra core. I guess we probably should have... Dude, this unit alone represents so much ridiculous, like, conquering of Blizzard Lard code. It's kind of outrageous, the things that you can do here. This is honestly, this is ridiculous. I can't really believe that I even made this unit, to be honest. It's kind of, it's redonkulous, dude. Seems to be making faster. I think it's only 1.5x speed. It looks like. What's that big cockroach? It's the Malkothra. So you get this at tier 3. You can make it from a larva, and you can attach structures to it. So I can make a Larvosk here. I think technically the Larvosk only work. Oh, I should fix this. I gotta math it out to make sure it's still getting the production buff after the first morph. It looks like it is. Pretty sure the way that this works is that you actually have to burrow the Malkothra core in order to get Kaker going, for it to actually spawn the larva. But, you know, you can make a Nidus with this guy. You can just carry a Nidus into battle. Yeah, or Khaz'it. Yeah, so as you can see, there's no larva spawning here because there's no Kager, but I think when he walks on there... Yay! There you go. I walk around with my larva. And I'm pretty sure I can lead it to death. Oh no! Oh, I don't know where to go! Oh, never mind. I really want to go there, but there's no room. He broke free! Oh my god! It's unthinkable. Then, Nidus Malkoth works in lore. The Malkothra core is the tunnel. You just go through the tunnel, dude. Malkothra core. I don't think you can justifiably say that the Nidus is a tunnel even in StarCraft 1, because you can put it on like space platform and stuff. What are you tunneling through? Space! You know what I mean? Hi. Zerg here. Oh, it's even better than that though, because technically when you burrow it spreads Kagra, so you can actually just send through the Nidus. Alright, see you later. Tissue extension complete. Tissue extension complete. Yeah, I don't think Sicky's ever seen this unit, so that's pretty funny. All right, so we know that that actually works. For now, it'll be 1.5x speed. Say structure gestation now occurs 50% faster, I guess we'll call it. The other thing we wanted to test was like a shaman. Let's see, 15.
Unit awaiting info.
So we got a maverick here, some stim. Shaman heals it. Yeah, it looks like it did. It wasn't able to be healed until the plague wore off. I think repair will bypass this. Yeah, the heal doesn't work for the cleric, but it does get the armor increase, so I think this is still what you would want as the interaction.
Your servant, the disciples await.
It's not going to work on this on attacking an enemy, so I guess I have to do like
With
over
pride.
or whatever.
In your name, with pride,
Standing by.
a shield for the soul. Your servant. How may I aid you?
Yeah, it wasn't actually restoring shields there while the plague was active, and then. Yeah, I think probably we'll need to make it so that it's only a portion, right? We probably need to make it so that it only reduces it by a certain percentage. So maybe cuts it in half or something. Grievous wounds from League of Legends. There's a few too many things that it's really, really good at, so. Gragas, God damn it, dude. That's a cursed fucking sentence. I don't want to read that. Alright, so that's fine. We just gotta go into a few places and modify this plague. Okay. I think that's our balance adjustments for the 3 OG races taken care of. Given the fact that I only have about an hour before I have to jump off to do some other things here, let me take a look at what I had written down for the Viscosi. Oh, I did actually want to nerf the Gosvaleth, but I don't really know if it matters right now, so we'll just return to that a little bit later. Gosvaleth's it being able to skip the first tech thing, I think, is that it ended up being really, really strong, but we didn't get to see it used very often. At some point, I'll probably have to overhaul what that does. It's a cool concept, but I feel like it just ends up having too much power with tech nodes. Maybe instead, they'll be the ones who can generate structures off of the Kagra or something, if I can program that in. And that'll be their unique ability. I'll come up with something cool so it's not just a lame kneecapped ability, that's for sure. Okay. The big plan to change for the Viscosi was that impact dissipation blocks incoming damage instead of healing. It blocks one attack. That's like a big, wide sweeping change. This will necessitate some additional healing from the Cardinal because the Mimic is going to have no longer have healing either. So I guess let's first make all of the more basic changes before we start on the impact dissipation one. It's not very difficult to do. It won't be too difficult to do in general, so. Okay, so we got Rove, Mimic, Cardinal, Function, Cosmoscope. Okay, I think these are the main units I was gonna adjust. Viscosi. Yeah, dude, what are you getting done? You said you were multitasking earlier, Skirmish? All right, so what we're going to do here is The Vicar does... You're talking about the... Oh yeah, I'm going to post August Crep by the end of the stream. Thank you for the reminder, Kian. The Vicar is going to apply the damage block because it applies impact dissipation. We'll probably need some more... we're probably going to need some more healing or some other way of like durability or whatever for the Escosi after the impact dissipation change, but we'll figure that out over time. So I was originally going to give Mimic Ash Heap every time the Mimicry projectile hits somebody. However, the Cardinal is going to get Ashbind instead of Rapid Rendezvous. So they're going to be able to jump to enemies instead of allies, and when they jump to enemies, they're going to spread Ash Heap around the target. So that's going to be your early source of armor penetration, armor rend. Which means that the Mimic also applying it will kind of step on its toes a little bit. I mean, it stacks, so it's still good, but it's not as uniquely good. And it probably was never that helpful in the overall sphere of things for the Mimic to do that, because you can't really pick the target. So I'm thinking instead... that the Mimicry mimicked attacks will now apply Gold Rush, which is the one that lets you recycle resources. I never saw your Pyrist concept, but yeah, I was thinking about the fact that Ash Heap is something that's a little bit more fixated on one of the sub-factions for the Escosi. So the Mimic is going to give you Gold Rush, and... Oh, I should fix the bug with Gold Rush, actually, where it does not take into account... Where do we actually process Gold Rush, though, is the question. It's probably under Destructor Special, I guess. Gold Rush. No? Oh, I see. We have a salvage corpse function. Put that under bug fixes. Now correctly accounts for the resource cost of dual birth units. That's like an easy way to explain it to people. Technically, there are other sources of 2 per 1 egg, but it does. This also doesn't do anything to the Savra core, by the way. Like it won't be reducing it perfectly for that. I'll add some other special case there. I'll probably have to do it. I guess I could just do it right now, but it'll probably be something like. Triple berth. There you go. Else. This is a weird one. How do we calculate that? So you're already taking 25% of the cost, but then you would divide it by, instead of you divide it by half, you divide it by, I guess you divide it by 3? Put another way, I guess you multiply, I don't know. I've never been good at like math like that, so maybe somebody in chat can tell me if I'm doing something oopsie, and otherwise Veek will let me know and we'll fix it. Make unit shoot out Petract prior to its second life. Oh yeah. Petract will probably be a mobile garrison as opposed to. Gaftalosk won't be affected because the Gaftalosk doesn't imbibe a. It doesn't. I guess technically you did spend less money to make the units, but we don't currently transfer the Gaftalosk status over to the unit. Why would it increase desync chance? Make unit Petract, increase attack speed while inside. I'm not actually sure about the Zonguard. I need to take a longer look at it. And tier 2 stuff is kind of out of my scope, besides the fact that I know the Enbor isn't going to attack air units anymore. And same for the Insurant. This is a little bit tricky, though, because that it's using the Heracles weapon internally, and the Heracles weapon obviously deals damage. Can attack ground and air. I guess I can probably just make it so that they have no air attack, though, and that'll be fine. Same for the We still need to make some improvements to how the Ascosi stuff works overall. That's alright. Alright, Rove. Insurance. Real quick. I believe the Rove also. We're gonna give the Rove a slight HP buff to compensate for the loss of the thing there. The compensate for the loss of the heal from impact dissipation. The missionary probably needs something as well in the same vein. We'll start with just 5 HP and see where that goes. Function. We also dropped the mineral cost by 25. Is the only air splasher skills you have access to delay booming blast? Yeah, the Vicar does that. I think Cardinal Jump technically doesn't work on air units, but if air units in the area that's there. But that's part of why I'm making it so that the Cosmoscope is a little bit more early on available, because Helions are really good and really cost efficient at dealing with air units. And if you have, like, I guess if you have Mimic, if you went like Radix into Cypher instead of Radix into Cosmoscope because your opponent is going air, Mimic would give you cost efficiency with Scrap World Gold Rush there. So there is that as well. Let's implement our Scrap World Gold Rush change for the Mimic. I believe this is under Weapon Fire. We got our Mimic. How did we do this anyway? Fire Bullet. If the unit is a Mimic. Okay. So we just have to search. I don't think Mimic is actually in here as a target. Yeah. So Scrap World. Javelin Cannons. We have to find like a switch of attacker ID. This is weapon ID. Where are we? We're in behaviors. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. I think we scroll back up here. Switch data attacker ID, and then we'll do case unit ID, Ascosi Mimic. And then we have to do the Scrap World. Where are we? Whoop. Oh, no, I was right there. That should probably be a method, as opposed to being inlined in a few places, but that's great. Figure that out later. Oh yeah, the Chantry, I already know what I'm going to do with it, but I think it's a little bit of a pain to implement. I'm going to need a bathroom break here in a moment. I guess I'll have to come back and get some more work done. But yeah, that should take care of the Mimic there. Now in the Mimic list here, we got Mimicry Tick. And we're just going to go ahead and... I like the idea of Vital Remains, but void unit Vital Remains Tick. Let's say... XT. Am I missing anything? This position. It's just complaining because we didn't actually edit here yet. Be good. So break, we do return. We're probably not going to... Yeah, we don't have any unit that actually works for Vital Remains right in this moment. So technically Vital Remains Tick is going to be unused, but at least we have it out in its own function. We can go ahead and reuse it later. Since we removed that from the ability. Okay, so we're going to say... Let's go to the Gold Rush. Mimic. Just take that off, go to Mimicry. Yeah, we should just be able to give it Scrap World Gold Rush. Because technically that's its attack. So that's like valid wording, in my opinion. So now we go into here, we go to Scrap World Gold Rush. Let's just search for Gold Rush. Find the Mimic. All right, what else did we do? We did the Cardinal, we did the Mimic, did the Rove, the Intendant. I'm not really sure about what to do yet. I just wrote down some ideas, but I haven't settled on anything. We did the Cosmoscope, the Function, the Radix, the Impact Dissipation. We did the Endbore and Insurance. Okay. Chantry does not self-cloak. Chantry doesn't cloak buildings. And yeah, at some point we'll most likely add a third Monument of Sin unit. I don't really see a reason why not to. Do I want to do anything about the Proselyte with regards to all of these changes? That's the Pilgrim. Also, it says Proselyte only has one armor pen, so that's updated on the website. We'll go ahead and fix that. Silver Souls shouldn't cloak buildings. That's a bug if that's the case. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't filter no building. Yeah, we haven't actually done the impact dissipation stuff just yet. Get rid of that. Variation and varication. So basically, every time it's at the max value, the max timer, we're gonna set the value to 1. This, and then we basically need to say. Actually, I have to think about how to program this out, because there's some units that get it as soon as they get hit. So... That doesn't really make sense, does it? Well, I'll have to double check to see if they ever even cloak structures then. I already responded to you in the Discord server, Lianka Borzea. It's not compatible with remastered. You might be able to use CNC D-Draw though. It can, at the very least, change how it works on your monitor. But it's not going to make it look like the remaster, which, in most of our opinions, is not very good anyway. Remastered does not have the mod friendliness that Cosmonarchy needs. Oh, I did actually want to go to the Enbor. Probably the Enbor damage needs to be adjusted a little. That, or maybe they're just going to only send off 6 attacks. That might be enough. Instead of firing 8. Well, no, it's an Octor shard. It has to be 8. How much does the crematorium do again? So I think it's, yeah, it's 8 times 10 right now. So if it was 8 times 8, that would be a reduction of 16 damage, right? That's pretty steep. I thought about cutting out 20 damage, but honestly, I think that's fine. I didn't know this game needs this much coding. I just assumed it was done through Blizzard Editor. No. No, we don't have source code, so we have to reverse engineer everything. Everything that you see achieved in Cosmonarchy. To whatever degree it's jank, then, oh man, well, I guess that makes sense, though. It was reverse engineered and memory hacked into existence. And anything that isn't jank but is new, assume it was a mammoth effort, and it's like, holy shit, what an achievement. Humanity is great. That's what you can say to yourself about how... That's what you can say to yourself about Cosmonarchy. The Blizzard editor that you assume exists is actually a really stripped down map editor that isn't even as good as the map editor that we actually use, which is a custom map editor that was made by somebody years ago. And a new map editor is being made that's supposed to be even more feature complete for Cosmonarchy's purposes, but it's that's a slow going situation. And that's not going to do anything related to the programming. The programming is going to stay the same, but at the very least, we'll be able to use some of our custom tiles a little bit better, and we'll be able to preview maps nicer and stuff. That's pretty much it. I actually don't use CNCD Draw. I don't even know if I have the file on my computer anymore. But there is like a... Let's see. I don't think I have... Yeah, I don't actually have it. But you might be able to get somebody like Mimica, maybe, to give you some steps through. And as far as me working as a programmer, no. I actually only have a part-time job because Cosmonarchy does pay some of my bills. So I'm just one of them starving artists you can think of me as. Not quite so dire, but a bit closer to that. Which reminds me, if anybody wants to support... Currently raising money for some more 1v1 tourney stuff, so if you guys like how Acropolis went, it's a good way to support the prize pool there. It just means that I don't have to pay for it myself, which is helpful. $100 every month isn't that big, but... and every little bit helps, especially in this economy. Okay. We have... Shopkeeper Dog, can you tell me why you think the Proselyte needs a nerf after the proposed changes to impact dissipation? I feel like it would probably need a buff, if anything. I read that earlier, but I forgot to actually respond to it. I got to think a little bit here about programming the impact dissipation change. So the impact dissipation change is that your next attack, your first attack is blocked. Probably what we would need to do instead is, if impact dissipation exists on the unit, like it is a thing that can happen to the unit, you're blocking your next attack, right? Or do we say we block one attack after impact dissipation gets proc? Maybe that's how it would be? So if you proc impact dissipation by taking damage as like a missionary, then your next attack that you would be taking would be absorbed. Is that a better value proposition? Is that more clean than the alternative, which is that you just have a block, you absorb it, and then you go? I think that probably makes more sense, though. It's up front so you can just spam jump one at a time, and get more value? Maybe. I feel like it's really hard to do that, though. And it is only one attack as well. But maybe. I mean, I guess we'll have to see. Like, we'll have to see if somebody's got hands enough to do that kind of thing. Impact dissipation. So these are all units that have impact dissipation built in. So I guess what we would need to do is we'd need to say, like, I'm going to go into CMIDs here, add a unit ID thing called bool has impact dissipation. And do unit ID enum, unit ID, turn. Then we also have to add the Thunder slaps dropping truth nukes. That was really funny to read. The difference between the dilettante passive and impact dissipation blocking the first attack is the impact dissipation thing is a one-time thing for units that don't natively have impact dissipation. For units that have it, you're on a cooldown. So I'm basically trying to math out, like, what should ideally happen is you block the first attack and then you get your movement speed buff. So it can't continuously proc, basically. So I guess that's probably the way to do it, right? So we would say if yeah, that's basically what we need. So if impact dissipation doesn't exist, as a timer, impact dissipation doesn't exist, then we would say, like, data damage equals 0 or whatever. I actually don't know how we would... How would we do that? So I guess we can't read this or whatever, so... So you block the damage, then you start moving, basically. So I don't really know how you apply that with, like, Vicar, Proselyte Jump, Vicar Pull, Emissary Pull. Yeah. Because at that point, the movement speed is already up, right? Movement speed's already started, so we don't have the calculation then. It's like these units that have impact dissipation natively also have the block, and the other, like, this is how the implementation detail is right now, and then the other thing doesn't work, so... Impact dissipation. Yeah, where are we in here? This is damage behavior. So we're not supposed to nuke the damage, like, at all here. Whereas, like, if we did this in another place, it would work a little bit better. Yeah, I guess this is the problem. We have to move it to another function, I think. And this is the target ID switch. So maybe we can do the target ID switch in here. Is there a target ID? I guess not. I'm actually not sure if that's gonna work. Let's see here. Data attackers, switch data weapon ID. Do we null check the data target at any point? We go here, does this assume... Well, yeah, I guess we're checking here for the dilettante. Okay, so the data target should exist here, basically. That's what I'm wondering about, so I'll delete this. That's not that important. And here we're out of the switch statement about weapon IDs. And we're also checking if the attacker exists. We probably don't need to worry about that as much. This is only caring about the... yeah, and this is all inside that same area. Let's go check attacker down there for whatever reason. Probably important. I'm not gonna fuck with it right now. Okay, so here we should be able to say data damage equals 0, and then... Oh, I see. We actually have to... we have to put this at the very bottom after all other, like, data stuff or whatever, I think. By that. I don't know what this is. Does it do anything with damage? This is for, like, creating a new thing or whatever, I think. Or a Phantom Strike. Oh, yeah, this is related to melee. Okay, I guess we'll do this. Okay, I put it at the very bottom. That's fine. OG impact dissipation be gone and shall now come back as a factional thingy. Yeah, it might. It might. Their damage equals 0. All right, we'll try that, and that should work for units that already have impact dissipation. We don't currently have a solution for units that get impact dissipation through another source. We probably just need to apply a block at that point. Give them a block during the time or whatever, I don't know. There are a lot of funny characters on the internet, guys. I don't know if you knew that. So, as far as I can tell, and then we go to impact. And then I guess we have to worry about, like, impact dissipation being given to units that already have impact dissipation natively, but got it through this method. So we have to change some stuff around here. And that does probably mean... Yeah, I guess that does make sense, actually. So, instead we should do this. That's what we should do. We gotta... bring this back. All right. We figured it out, I think. I think we figured it out. We just have to make it so that when we apply impact dissipation, we also do this block. So that'll need to be refactored at some point. But basically every time we check the duration of this is probably when we are going to need to... Oh, wait. Should it... it shouldn't be allowed to do every... It's not every tick like Silver Soul. This is from a spell, right? Yeah, rematerialize. So this is probably fine to give the block every time it's cast. Not wait for a timeout. What is this? This is Rapid Rendezvous. Fine. What is this? A Silver Soul? Okay, that's what we just adjusted. Oh. Damage. We'll take care of that already. It looks like that's actually the only basic. All right, should be good. Oh, there's a bingo. Okay, check out the bingo. Cosmonarchy bingo apparently is being created right now by Luciferius. I don't think you could use Deputy Dad for that. That's really funny. Yeah, fraud launcher might be a good one. I guess that does happen a little bit. All right, I think we've taken care of all of our balance adjustments for the Escosi. Oops, I didn't actually do that, but all right. Let's see, Cardinal.
Searching for silence.
Oh, it doesn't have permission in the drafting to do that just yet. down.
Searching for silence. Begin the sermon. Task received. Our words were yours.
And Cardinal doesn't heal himself, it looks like, maybe? Does he?
To the new audience. Into action.
Weird. Okay. Yeah, it's supposed to be like all allies within 3 range, and he is an ally to himself. You know, he's not his own worst enemy. So I think that's valid. I guess I won't necessarily call that a bug fix, though.
Prepared to speak. Task received.
Yeah. Minute.
Information is paramount.
Button set. Gold rush.
Constant motion. Tracking. Arriving.
Yeah, money. Yeah, money.
To
Yeah.
the new audience. Information is paramount. Searching, confirming your will.
Bloodsimon's pretty good at, I think at this point, it's just going to be nailing down some stats and stuff, like basic unit implementations. Not sure how much of that I'll show on stream.
Tracking. Prepared to speak. Location marked. Into action. Task received.
Okay, it's still dealing 1 damage. So let's go to missionary. When you have the block, has to be set to independent damage. That way we have a little audio-visual indication when that thing comes in. Yeah, definitely more Sovereign Saga soon. I don't think I'll be able to do a stream tonight because I got a pretty busy evening. In fact, after the stream, like 10 minutes from now, I have to be live doing some other stuff. So for the tabletop crew. Just putting the final touches on here.
Searching for silence. Location marked. Task received. Location marked. To the new audience. Location marked. To the new audience. Task received. Into action. Task received. Our eyes for our words.
Yeah, that works. That's pretty correct.
Confirming your will. Arriving. Scanning surroundings. Deployment. Arriving. Information is paramount. Our eyes for yours. Information is paramount. Turn them to salvage.
Oh, I see. It's not cutting all the damage because it's two different attacks. That makes sense. I was like, why are they still taking damage? Yeah, for those who don't know, I run tabletop stuff, premium tabletop experience. And we have our own website now, sunscapetabletop.com. It's pretty cool. You can check out our, even have a Cosmonarchy theme and stuff. Obviously, the content itself is it's going to take a little bit, but to fill it and whatnot. But it's pretty good. I like it. The one thing I'm not entirely sure about is that it looked like the impact dissipation timer was still being refreshed, weirdly. Even though we're checking to make sure that we're not doing that. So I don't know what's up with that. Let me see if that's actually correct.
Is that a fucking crow? Ah!
Why, yes. Oh, Zatoichi Aegis. Zatoichi Aegis. Thank you for the follow. I'm gonna move that Streamlabs alert up now that the coffee link is over there. Alright, so missionary.
Prepared to speak to the new audience. Into action.
Yeah, I think the duration just probably needs to be dropped a little bit. So that you can get multiple procs off on it, because it effectively is very hit and run now. But how often is that really going to help you out, you know? So we might want to drop it from 3 seconds to 2. Maybe we can increase the movement speed as a compensation. Starcraft mixed with something else. Cosmonarchy is it's its own take on the RTS using Starcraft as a basis. You can kind of think about it as so there's 50 units per race on average. So you get a lot more units to play with than in the default game. The default game is all of their units might as well be tier 1. And then we added a 4th race called the Escozi that's not from anything other than my own work. I made them up. Just like a good journalist. And I made them up, and it's pretty cool to see.
Task received.
That blocked a couple attacks in that skirmish, but it's probably going to be pretty difficult, isn't it? That's fine, though. I think it's all right. Oh, yeah, and then I also wanted to quickly change the description here. Impact, dissipation. It gains 50 and blocks the next attack. After being attacked, hostile, this combatant gains 15% for 2 seconds. This bonus. Yeah. I think it's fine. People will figure out. That's a little bit different. Cool. Oh shit, you're a S ranker, huh? Yeah, well, check this out. You probably know Sicky then. And check out our 1v1 tournament we just finished. We have some StarCraft 2 pros in here, a couple StarCraft 1 guys. And Sicky actually ended up barely clinching this tournament as Zerg. He ended up winning the tournament. $1,000 prize pool. We just finished it up. He goes home with $500. We had DeWalt play our show match as well. And so some pretty cool players participate, and they're aware of it. But yeah, if you're interested, definitely check it out. We mostly organize 1v1s through the Discord server, or Fluxer if you happen to use that. But technically, you could just host any lobby with Cosmonarchy. It installs itself, so you don't have to worry about messing with your Starcraft install. All right, I think I'm ready to push this update. We'll go ahead and finish up the rebalance. Of course, who knows if there's new things to discover here. I'm assuming they will. There will be. Okay. Alrighty. Where's my... Oh, I guess that was it, huh? Go ahead and see where we are at after all of our changes. Mostly, yeah, it's all been stat changes, hasn't it? Pretty much. Initial balance pass after Acropolis number 4. So things that are still on the list. I mentioned the Triton. Might see some adjustments there. Did I actually knock the quarry down in time cost? I can't remember. Yeah, I did. Okay. Good there. Let's close this file. That way I'll know that everything's been standardized, finalized. I know people have been talking about the factional tech trees and stuff. Yeah, I'll get to those at some point later, I think. Yeah, Vika added some more desync logging. Okay, pretty nice. Ah, Sicky looking for a Zerg gamer right now. Somebody fight him. Zerg Gaming. Have to poke Grubby sometime. If you can get Grubby to check us out, that'd be wonderful. I know, Fenris, I think it was you who messaged Winter. Is that right? Yeah, I haven't been able to get him on the line yet. I messaged Pig again recently. I was talking with him for about a show match, but he ended up being really busy at that time, and then I was really busy after that. So sent him another message. I think there are some really cool matches that were in Acropolis 4. Neblime versus Hanmano Game 4 with the Solarians on Magnetron. Dude, that was so cool. You could send that to anybody. You could send that game to StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2 casters. You could send that to fucking... I don't care. If you're an Age of Empires caster, you'd probably looked at that game and thought, holy shit, what a hype match. So, I think that kind of thing is pretty cool. Do I have anything else to say? Oh, yeah, I guess this wasn't an issue after all.
Searching for silence.
They do not cloak structures. Okay. That ended up not being necessary. Alright, that's it. It's away, ladies and gentlemen! All of the updates I worked on today are now available on pre-release. Sicky proves Age of Empires skills are transferable to Cosmonarchy at least. Yeah, that's the skill set he's transferring. He's pretty good in Age, apparently. I haven't seen him play, but cool to see him play a couple of other games for sure. Alright guys, I gotta bounce for now. Definitely check out the no update on pre-release if you're keen on getting some more games taken care of there. We'll be doing some more casting and some more replay games pretty soon. I know people like the streams where I actually go over the replays that we have, and I have a lot of replays to go over, but I'm also just really happy to do some more campaign work and, you know, faction dev and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and announce map crap as well for August. I'll go ahead and make that thread pretty soon. Well, I have to use the bathroom first, but the thread that will be made is going to announce that we are looking for campaign scenarios. 1 versus 1 is the context, like Water War. Emphasis on factions. Pick a sub-faction that you want to play as. Bonus points if you pick a sub-faction for the other race that you're fighting. 1v1 AI, let's go. So mappers have that to look forward to. And yeah, for those on the competitive side, Acropolis number 5, we're going to be keen on getting our qualifiers up pretty soon. September is when we're doing that. So the month of August, you can familiarize yourself with the new version of the game, or if you're new to the game, you can familiarize yourself with the game baseline. You can play some matches, get yourself geared up, and by the end of September, I think most of the gauntlets will have already been run, or at the very least in the process of finishing up. So our qualifiers are going to come at you thick and fast. Be aware of that for sure. Beyond all that, I just have to say thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back with more stuff very soon. There's a ladder. We don't have ranked matchmaking yet, but we do post all of the matches that are played in the ranked mode get posted here. So anytime you see games like the, you know, people will play a bunch of matches. You know, Sicky was trying out Protoss recently. He was playing a couple of different games here. So all of them get posted here, and then people do get a ranking based on their tournament performance. So we have like our top players for including what their race are. It's a little informal right now because we're still on the smaller side of a community, but hopefully by the end of this year we'll have a ranked ladder going. And DeWalt said he'll play some more when we do that, so there's more, certainly more excitement there. Oh, what's the strongest race? It's hard to say. Zerg was deemed... People say Zerg is really strong. I think whatever race you played in StarCraft 1, you'll enjoy playing in this. The new race, Escozi, people have mixed opinions on. Sometimes they're strong, sometimes they're weak. You just gotta figure that one out. So... yeah, I would say, I can't really tell you. I think like Zerg is better than Protoss in Zerg versus Protoss. That seems to be the case. But people, it was pretty close, right? If we look at the Acropolis 4 match, it was all 7 games, best of 7 grand final, right? So the Protoss won a good number of matches here. So yeah, and then Aoud was beat the Escozi 3-0. Before that it was 3-2. So Escozi versus Protoss is Protoss favored, it seems. Zerg, people say Escozi is better than Zerg, and Escozi did beat Zerg here multiple times, but I wonder for sure if that's real. There was a lot of ZVP victory over Zerg over Protoss happened a lot, and then Terran. We only had 1 Terran in playoffs, so we didn't have a lot of Terrans in this tournament. We thought we were going to get Newt. Newt was a surprise that he got defeated by a Zerg player, but I think that was more his... he just hadn't practiced a lot. He's a pretty good player, and he smokes a lot of Zergs now. So I think TVZ is probably... TVZ Terran favored, PVT Protoss favored, ZVP Zerg favored, and who knows about the Escozi yet. We're still figuring that out. But it looks like Terran and Escozi are maybe even, with a slight Terran lean. Protoss versus Escozi, Protoss are favored, and then Zerg versus Escozi, it looks like Escozi are favored. So that's the new race matchup there. Yeah, I like it. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff to look at and learn. And that's the cool thing, is that you're always, you could be, you know, like Starcraft 1, you can still learn after 28 years or whatever it's been now. You can still learn, I guess it's been, no, it hasn't been that long. Whatever it was, in 22 years, 24 years. You can still learn stuff in StarCraft 2, but you can, that's also true for Cosmonarchy. There's always stuff to learn, so I'm excited. YouTube short of the dude carrying Zerg buildings. Yeah, shit, I guess I should just show people that. Like, you pick a race, I'll show you something really ridiculous. We got, like, the diadem. Ion cannon, classic move. Also I can lift off. That's pretty good. Did I pre-place the Malkothra core in the map? I did.
Tissue extension complete.
I got this guy probably isn't the most cool epic unit, but still. Oh, we didn't test the Sovraleth versus area or whatever units. It does look like it's still making Sovs, so we might need to bug fix this later. Interesting. Yeah, battle reinforcements in the front line is pretty good. I dig it. You can also try to send them through again, which is pretty fun. Oh yeah, and of course if you're a Protoss enjoyer.
Salvation. What must be done?
Yeah, we got some cool stuff in Cosmonarchy, dude.
Clad in humility. Our eyes for yours. Tracking.
Yeah, can't attack air anymore. Sure, and also.
To speak.
I mean, there's so many. I don't even know where to start with stuff, honestly, because there's like, you have like Protoss workers that don't need to return resources, so you just get the money. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff in here, dude. Definitely check it out. And with that, I will leave you guys in the capable hands of the rest of your life until I am back for another stream. I'll see you guys then. GG.